Pulaski County Fiscal Court. As is customary, we like to open our court meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I've asked Pastor Jeff Griffith, who's with us today, if he would be so kind to open us. If y'all would please stand.
Let's pledge. I pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Go ahead and call this meeting to order, and I want to do something a little different today. We've got, of course, 9/11 is tomorrow, and I guess it'll be the 18th anniversary of that tragic day, and I just would like to see if we could take a moment of silence to remember all the ones who lost loved ones and suffered loss throughout that ordeal. So if you would, please, let's take a moment of silence. Thank you. All right, first order on the agenda then will be approval of our minutes from our previous meeting. You've all received a copy of those. What would be your pleasure there?
Motion to accept.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the minutes as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. One item of old business. Last meeting, we had our Sheriff Speck presented his, I guess his audit report. Am I saying that right? The tax audit. And we actually, they required that we vote on that to accept that tax audit, and we did not do that. So it's the same audit that we were presented in court. But I just need to get a motion and second that we approved it.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Judge, while you're still in that area of the sheriff's office, we did accept the tax rates at the last court meeting, but the sheriff has since sent word with me that we also need to have a motion to put the tax rates on the bills, on the tax bills, and the new tax rates on the bills, and allow the sheriff's office to collect. I don't know if that's something that the auditors have changed. I know we've never done it before. I know, that's what I said, we've never done it before, but, you know, if that keeps the comment down on their audit, then.
Just for the record, the tax rate is the same as previous.
Correct.
It's not a new rate.
It's
the
not a
same.
new rate, it's just that, because it's already been accepted, it did not change, but we still need to have the motion to
Put the rate
put the tax on the tax bill and collect it, the sheriff's office to collect it.
Motion.
Second. You got that motion, Alicia?
I think
You get
so.
all that?
I think so.
I know, it's kind of convoluted, I'm sorry.
Motion by Mr. Ranshaw, second by Mr. Strunk. Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item then will be our new business. We've got a resolution. This is for solid waste truck, I guess, to enter into a lease for that.
It's all trucks.
Trucks, Judge.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's the solid waste truck and 3 dump trucks for the road department. And just to clarify, what this is this is our revolving program that we started a couple of years ago. It's where we pay interest only, then turn them back in. And if you all remember, when we sold them at auction, which they are being sold at auction right now, we made approximately $42,000 on them, so it's a very good deal. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Motion. Second. We have a motion and a second then for the approve this resolution. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Judge, also, since we're in that discussion, we need to surplus the 3 trucks that we took down Friday to the auction company. We need to surplus those.
Motion to surplus. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries, and Lisa will probably need to get the numbers off that.
Also, Judge, the auction company is J.M. Wood. Need to ask permission to sign the contract with them because they guarantee a floor with the trucks that's currently down there once the auction begins.
Motion to allow me to execute this contract. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, any further discussion?
What kind of commission do they get for selling it?
7%.
7%? Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And also, Judge, we need to ask permission of the court to sign the new agreement with Worldwide Equipment with the three new trucks that we've got. 3 at the road department and 1 at solid waste with Worldwide.
Motion to
Motion.
that agreement?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Anything else?
Good shape. Carry on.
Brings us to our department reports. Have our road department, Eugene.
What I've got today is a road work request, and plus I also need 400 ton of blacktop.
I've got a copy of your road work request. Are there any speed limits?
Yeah, I got 3 of them. One's for Bennett Lakes for 25 miles an hour.
Make a motion to do that.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
And previously, we were gonna put up speed limit signs on Chimney Rock and Squidano, but come to find out there's no speed limit on that road, so we need a 25 mile an hour for both those roads.
Which one?
Chimney Rock and then Squidano,
Squibano?
yeah.
Okay.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second. Don't you do those separate?
No, they're fine.
Okay, to put 25 mile an hour speed limit on Chimney Rock and also on Squibano. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed?
Didn't you have one more, Mark?
One more.
Lahey Cabin Hollow.
Oh, yeah. This was, we changed this, we put a 25 mile an hour speed limit on that road. I wanted to do it on the whole road, but come to find out, we need to split that. The front side needs to be 35 and the back side needs to be 25. So we need to make a motion to change the front part of Elijah Cabin Hollow Road to 35
Do we
miles
need to get measurements?
What's the front part exactly?
up to Dry Branch Road. And then from Dry Branch Road on where it narrows, it needs to be 25, yeah.
As long as the minutes reflect that, we're good. Okay, up to Dry Branch Road. 35.
Motion. We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Any other speed limits we need to address? All right, we'll entertain a motion to accept the rest of the road work requests.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. And then we,
400 ton of hot mix.
Second.
we got a motion to get 400 tons of hot mix. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Eugene. Next in will be solid waste. Misty, I believe you have an ordinance cleanup.
I just have, it's listed as multiple properties. They're all owned by the same person. They're just right across the road from each other. There's Lot 7 through 12 on Neil Haney subdivision and Lot 31, Section 2 of Summit Point that need to be mowed.
Motion to allow that to happen.
Motion to mow 'em.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms.
Was that for mowing only? Thank you, ma'am.
Brings us then to, I guess the jailer asked if he could say something on behalf of Anthony. Mr. Rod Dick.
Judge, I'll be very brief. Anthony couldn't be over this morning. He had some other things that were going on. He wanted me to come and send his regards. It's always, I'm humbled to be in such a distinguished group. And it's always good to see you, but he just wanted to thank you for your continued support. And if there was anything that needed to be done or you needed done or something, well, just pass that along and we'll see if we can get it took care of.
Thank you, Rod, for all you do out there.
You guys do a great job. We appreciate it.
More.
That'll bring us to our treasurer. Joan, you've got a few things here.
Well, unfortunately, and I apologize for this, but I had to add to my list, so I've got quite a few things. The first item I'd like to do is fund transfer from the fire fund to the general fund, for $300,000.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second for fund transfer. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay. The second item I'd have would be the monthly bank reconciliation for August.
Motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
The next item I would have, Constable Wallace has, he has an order of forfeiture, so we have some drug forfeited vehicles that we need to surplus. Should I do them all together, Martin? Would that work?
You got a list.
Okay. The first one is a 1983 Rolls Royce, a Rolls Royce L878. Means nothing to me. The next surplus item I have would be an Audi 5660 H4, a 2005 Honda Accord, now, I do have a question for Martin. He's got two, that one he's gonna donate to Nancy Fire Department, one PC Park. Those don't need to be surplus, am I correct?
Correct.
Okay, so that would be it. It's 1, 2, 3 vehicles to be surplus that are drug forfeiture vehicles.
We'll get a list of those to.
I will get a list of those, yes.
Motion.
Second. We have a motion and a second to allow the drug forfeiture vehicles to be surplus. Any further discussion? All in favor?
No.
Any opposed?
I do think you need to vote to allow him to donate those, though, to another public agency.
Okay, okay. So then I have two drug forfeiture vehicles that we would need to be voted to donate to another governmental agency. A four-wheeler that will be donated to Nancy Fire Department, and a golf cart which will be donated to Pulaski County Park.
Motion.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the last item I would have, let me make sure I've gotten everything I need. We've already done tax rates. It would be the biweekly bill list.
Y'all received a copy of the bill list. What would be your pleasure?
Motion. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yes, I've got 2 issues with this bill list that I'm going to vote no against the bill list for. One was, there's a $6,800 charge on here for AC unit at the mall. I understand the need for it, but it was discussed at the last meeting that was supposed to be paid through the clerk's office and not the county budget. And then the second one was the purchase of a trailer for the road department at $19,950. I understand the need for the trailer. I just don't agree with the process, the purchase of that trailer as far as coming up with bids and all that. It's $50 below what is needed for a typical bid process. And I do believe that no other bids was acquired on this, so.
No, we didn't. I don't think they took bids, they just.
So
road
they just went
department
out and
just-
bought one, and then it was $50 below what we would normally require for a bid to go out. So I think the process is off. So, and I just want to make my thoughts known on that, so.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed?
Aye.
Split vote, let's go ahead and take roll call.
Turpin,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Wilden,
Yes.
Ranshaw,
No.
Strunk.
Yes.
Motion carries. Anything else, Joan?
I believe that's all I have at this moment. I might come up with something else.
And we're not on the agenda, or we have a personnel issue that we're going to have to discuss here briefly, but in the essence of time and the visitors of the court, I'm going to go ahead and have our citizen comments. And while I'm thinking of it, I've got a couple of announcements to make. We have trick or treating. We want to set that date if we can. You said we got the calendar handy. I think the 31st is on a Thursday this year. Do we normally do 5 to 8? Is that the hours? 5 to 9 in the county? Does it require a vote to
Let them
do
get as
that? or
much
just-
candy as they can.
So we'll need a motion then to set those hours for Thursday the 31st from 5 to 9.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, and then I've got, this being the week of 9/11, we've got a couple celebrations tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock at the SRT building, which is located behind Mellow Mushroom. If you'd like to be a part of that celebration, they've got an actual piece of the tower there that's a memorial that's pretty neat, and they'll have a good service to commemorate that and honor those first responders and those that lost their lives there. So that'll be 8 o'clock at the SRT, and then I think Fork Bank also has a service for first responders at 11 o'clock at their South Branch. If y'all would like to participate in that. So,
Can I add to that too, that Hampton Inn is having dinner for first responders and military
yeah, I don't know anything about that
at
one.
night at 5:30 at Hampton Inn.
All right. And that brings us to our citizens' comments. We've got a few here today. Stephanie Bell is with Windstream Kinetic, and she wants to make a presentation.
Good morning,
Morning.
Judge Kelly and members of the court. Thank you for allowing me to say a few words this morning. My name is Stephanie Bell, and I'm the new VP of Government Affairs for Windstream. Attending with me today from the local office are Keith Davis and Nick McManus. I hope you all know them because they're great. They do a great job for us, and we're very happy to have them. And if you have any questions after my little talk, they'll know the answers. Windstream is pleased to be a partner with Somerset. We have invested almost $300,000 in your community and service and system upgrades in the last year. Our focus is on our customers, and I'm happy to announce a fiber upgrade that is being planned for your area. These fiber upgrades will allow approximately 2,200 households and businesses the potential to have up to 1 gig of broadband speed. And Judge, I believe that you might live in one of those areas. There's several areas. I have a map if you would like to see that. But we're very pleased to announce that, and I hope that everybody will take advantage of that. I look forward to working with you in the future. I've left my contact information, and please let me know if I can ever be of service. Thank you.
Do you happen to, is there a certain area that you're going to be putting this fiber? I'm looking at this map, and
I have a map, and I'll give it to you.
and the reason I ask is we're actually in the middle of doing a little study of how to provide broadband internet out in the
For the last mile?
for the last mile out in the far reaches. So I want to make sure we don't duplicate what you're doing.
Well, and are you doing a feasibility study?
Feasibility study is what we're
Okay.
looking at right now.
Well, and is it through ARC or?
We actually have commissioned a local provider to put the study together for
Okay.
us.
Well, we're happy, Windstream would be happy to help you in any way with that. If you want to do a P3 project, we're open for working with communities to provide that last mile. We're here, and please just give me a call.
We're wanting the best possible solution for the most,
Sure.
for the least amount that we have to invest, but we're open to ideas, but we're looking at this, and hopefully we'll have a solution within the.
Pass that around.
Is there any plans for you to go farther out in the rural communities? Like I know in my district, there's a lot of places that don't have Windstream service or anything like that for internet purposes and stuff like that.
Well, we have, over 2,000 households on this particular project.
But that's an upgrade, right? It's not, you're not expanding.
Right,
You're just
right,
upgrading.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Y'all have any other questions for Ms. Bell? No, thank you for
Okay.
your
Thank
progress
you so
report.
much.
Next with us today, we have Mr. Ray Johnson, who would like to address the court.
I'm Ray Johnson. I live at St. Seal, Kentucky. And the reason I'm here today, I'm concerned about our ordinance number 930-2. This is an ordinance on cleanup and things in the community. Sorry. This ordinance, the way I read it, you're fine. The way I read it, thank you. Sit there. It is only taking care of part of the people in the county. To enforce the law, it's taking tax money from everybody in the county to enforce the law on this ordinance. This ordinance here speaks of subdivisions. And I have talked to different people about it, and they tell me there's nothing can be done because I'm not in a subdivision. There's a lot beside of my property up there it's less than an acre. The weeds is on it. It has covered up. Over 8 cars are sitting in there that are disabled, and they've been there for over a year. And there's nothing can be done about it. They turned over barrels of oil on this property, and they tell me they can't do anything about it. And I'm wondering if this ordinance can be changed until where it covers all of the citizens that pays taxes in Pulaski County. Or are we just going to go ahead and take care of a few that lives in subdivisions? Or does this ordinance cover everybody in Pulaski County? It's the question I have.
I would have to get familiar with the ordinance, but I would say any ordinance can be addressed by the court. I'm just not familiar with it, but I'd have to research it, but I'd be glad to do that for you.
Annie, would you like to speak of the ordinance?
here.
Yeah, ordinance 930.1 and ordinance 930.2, as he stated, is for subdivisions only, and solid waste enforces this ordinance. I think 930.1 was set back in, 930.2 was 2012. It was put in, he doesn't have 930.1, but I think it was maybe 2001 or so. It's not, of course, it's not perfect. These ordinance, the lots that we clean up, like Misty brought forth today, it's basically a service the county does for the community. We go out and put liens on these properties, but we rarely ever, if any time, ever collect on these liens. So we spend a lot of money going out and cleaning these up. But ordinances can be amended, adjusted, and fixed. It's just something we'd have to sit down and look at the feasibility of taking in the whole county on all these issues. But I'm not aware of the lot you talk about. We can look at, if there's barrels of oil that's been turned over, then we can call the Division of Waste Management and they come look at it. But this is first I've actually heard of this situation. So, but anything that we can do under solid waste, we will do. It's just our hands are tied by this ordinance on what we can enforce.
I think the barrels of oil, if that's true, that falls into a whole different category than unsightly, letting the grass grow up and junk cars. Barrels of oil actually is a contaminant that would fall under a different division.
I called up Miss Wilson. She came up and looked at it, and she said she couldn't do nothing because this ordinance says subdivision on it. So there's where I'm at. And she left a message on my phone, and I don't want to go into it, but if anybody need to know what it was on it, I can talk to you about it. But I'm still sitting up there, with weeds over top of my head. They are. And it does say something in here about the health, the taking care of people, their health and everything. What we have there right now, they moved these old cars in there. And my property's covered up with rats. I go out every day or so, and I have out rat poison around my barn to take care of my feed for my animals. And I go out and find dead rats where they eat from my place. I've been fighting rats now for almost a year, and they just keep coming from this place down here. I've seen them come from there to my barn. So that is a health issue. I was out yesterday, and a big groundhog is out there running, a bunch of groundhogs. There's nothing there that we can control them, and they get in our buildings, and most people knows what a groundhog will do. I mean, it'll tear up your property. But these people that owns it don't care. They don't live, they may live 15 miles from a home, that property. And I've talked to people, and I can't get anything done, and that's the reason why I'm here. And they keep throwing it back in my face. This ordinance says subdivision. So are we going to continue to use taxpayers' money to police small areas in the county and let the rest of them go? Now, I pay taxes, but they don't do anything for me. But the people in the subdivision pays taxes, and they call them out there, they'd have to do something other for them.
I certainly understand the position you're in, and I don't like the fact that you have to deal with what you're dealing with, so I will get with Danny and maybe a couple of magistrates, and we will address some of these issues and see what is feasible. Because like Danny was saying, it's just a matter of spending money and having to spend it countywide if we can absorb that. So we will look at that for you and try to see what we can do to help more.
That's all I want, is to be treated like somebody else.
Okay.
It's a nuisance where I live. It is degrading my property and property owners right beside of them.
Well, I do appreciate you coming and voicing your concerns.
Furthermore, there's 2 children that lives. Their home is probably 50, 60 feet away from this property. that has not what you call them special needs children. And these children need to be taken care of too. This old man is going to leave this world shortly, but then what about these children? And that's my concern.
You still live on Essersburg Road?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear
You
you.
still live on Essersburg Road?
No, I'm on Keeney Road in Science Hill. Just think about my brother up there.
Okay.
I live in Keeney Road.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Johnson. We'll address this. All right. Next in, I've got Pastor Jeff Griffith, Denham Street Baptist Church, would like to address the court.
Thank you, Judge Kelly and magistrates, support staff, and Mr. Hatfield. I'm here today in trying to kind of head off a potential storm in our community in regards to the Chill and Proud festival that they have planned in the Judicial Plaza. First of all, for the record, I'm not opposed to the festival at all. The venue concerns me. I have spoke with the organizers of the event, and the only concern that I have as a pastor inside the city and inside our area is the what they call drag performances, to which I consider to be adult entertainment, and lewd, obscene. The Kentucky statutes state that within the city limits and in our county, there are places that they can do these kind of things, and there's places they cannot. When I addressed the organizers politely, professionally, I tried to ask them, we do not, we, pastors, clergy of our community, do not want these drag performers parading around in our Judicial Plaza. We pray there every year. We read our Bibles through there every year. Our families participate in functions in the Judicial Plaza, and we are opposed. I'm trying to head off a protest by being here today and asking, I'm still talking with the organizers, trying to make sure that the drag performances are not done in the Judicial Plaza. Going forward, I know that there's not a criteria for the usage of the Judicial Plaza, so I just did some research and would like to present to the court some templates for a criteria for getting our Judicial Plaza. And maybe going forward in the future, we could have a review process, 24 hours of who uses the plaza, what it's for. There ought to be some type of paperwork involved in requesting. Anybody should be able to use it. I agree, they're taxpayers, but my concern is that it's wholesome, family-oriented, and good for our community. And I would just like to leave these with y'all and maybe help somebody do some legwork. It's templates for what we call facility use. And I would like to ask the court to consider a review process for our Judicial Plaza. I don't want to protest everybody that wants to use our Judicial Plaza. I wouldn't want anybody protesting me if I was out there with a singing group or a preaching group, but I do want it to maintain some type of moral integrity and decency within our city. If you've ever seen a drag performance, it can become very indecent, and I would consider lewd and obscene for minor children. And that's my concern, not the festival, but going forward that we have a plan of action for our county in granting permission for the use of the Judicial Plaza. That's pretty much all I have, and I'm not trying to, my phone's been ringing while I'm sitting here, and it's clergy, it's citizens that I'm familiar with, and somehow or another they want me to do something, and I'm like, hey, they have a right to the festival, they have a right to the Judicial Plaza. So you're going to find people on both spectrums of this, some who don't want them out there at all, and I'm not of that sort. I want that clear. They have rights just like we do. The problem with it is the decency and the moral part. It is considered, if you've ever seen it, it's adult entertainment. I don't know anybody on this court that wouldn't consider that stuff adult entertainment. I've talked with the mayor about it, and I want the court to know my concern, and if I could, just leave these templates, and moving forward, we have a process that people get our judicial plaza. And I'll be happy to take any questions, and if I can be of help, I'm trying to work with the organizers, and all I'm asking that they make sure, because what they've done is they've invited outside people. This is an outside organization with local organizers, and they've invited these drag performers into our town. And I know if they're going to be going to the brewery at the end, they're also going to be in the Judicial Plaza during the festival. And that is a concern of mine, and it does violate several local ordinances that we have on our books right now. And I've got those, and I'll be taking those over to the city just to make sure that, and again, I'm not trying to be a troublemaker. I think I can quell the screaming part of it if given the opportunity to negotiate the lewd and obscene behavior in the Judicial Plaza. And that's all I have, Judge. Thank you for hearing me today.
Appreciate you coming in, Pastor. I'll be glad to look at those and.
I mean, leave them here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you too. I don't know if you all noticed or not, but in our local schools in Kentucky have recently, there's been a state law that says you're to display "In God We Trust" in all of our schools prominently. I'm proud of that, but Pastor Griffith has gone a step further, and he's provided some plaques for our schools, and also has provided one for Pulaski County Court, if you notice. So it's our national motto, and we're proud to display that. So,
Thank you, Judge Kelly.
thank you, Pastor.
Thank you.
All right, well, we need to go into an executive session. We've got a couple issues. We've got an employee, a personnel issue, and then we also have a property issue to discuss. And so we will.
Need a motion.
We'll need a motion to go into executive session, and then, folks, you're welcome to hang around if you want, but we'll be back as quick as we can from executive session.
Before we do this, can we make it an announcement about lunch being served downstairs next to your office to support the Heart Walk?
No,
No, you can't make that announcement, Mark.
They're having lunch downstairs for donations for the Heart Walk that's taking place on Thursday. And once again, I want to just say how excited I am at how the county government has got behind this walk and really went out and really helped support them. So please, if you have a chance, you can take it to go. It's downstairs in the old courtroom next to Steve's office. So thank you.
Motion to go into executive session.
Hold on one second before we do that, if you don't mind. I've been told we need to have in the minutes that we did receive our insurance bids this weekend, so there were 2 bidders. And our insurance committee will be meeting Thursday, I believe. Is that when you all decided to meet? So they will, just to know that we did have 2 bidders, so we'll be discussing those, and probably at the next fiscal court meeting, we will make our announcement there.
But I'll be on standby on my phone.
All right, now, Mike, you have a motion to go into executive session,
Second.
and we have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we'll be back as soon as we can, but y'all feel free to leave or stay, either one.
I can't read that.
Reflect, we're back from executive session, and the discussions were limited to personnel and property, and no action was taken.
Do have a couple of items now. We have a employee, Nick Forbes, who has
A motion to come back? You have to have a motion to come back? Okay.
who has repetitively violated personnel policy. And upon further discussion, I'd like to recommend that we terminate Nick Forbes. Motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion carries. And in the same vein there, we will need to try to get somebody in to help fill the role. So I want to recommend that we hire Tyler Moore to be skilled labor, come in to start in 2 weeks. He has to give a 2 weeks notice.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? And then I need permission, we've discussed in here, we have a bond issue that we're awaiting completion. Should, due to, I guess, a delay in the audit draft being presented to DLG, it has pushed our estimated time of bond reception back into mid-October, and our contract with BB&T was to be executed September 12th. So, I want to ask the court to allow us to take a short-term loan to go ahead and make that purchase of the BB&T building with the intentions that that money will be paid back when we received our bond proceeds, probably mid-October. So we would need a short-term loan, you know, at least a month, but let's just say a 90-day short-term loan.
120 days, to be on the safe side.
But it needs to reflect in the minutes that the short-term note must be paid back by June 30
Of 2020.
of 2020,
This
yeah.
is something that the DLG does allow. We did this, if you remember, Joan brought it up with the Fountain Square. Whenever we were waiting on those proceeds, we had to go ahead and execute a contract, so we had a short-term loan for that occasion. So it's something that governments,
And this loan amount is just for the purchase price?
for the purchase price of the BB&T building, which is $500,000 and $35,000, I think, is the.
The closing date in the contract is scheduled for September 13th, and just so the court knows, I made a request of their legal counsel to extend the closing date until the end of October, because we were hoping that all this paperwork would be finished by then. They declined that offer and came back with a counter offer where they would extend it to, I think, September 27th. But there were some financial considerations that were tied to that where the court would be spending more money just to keep the option open, and at the end of the day, you're still not going to have your money by September 27th. So it didn't make any sense to accept their counteroffer when you weren't going to have the money by then anyway. But I did make that request. I was hoping that they would honor that, and, you know, I told their legal counsel, I said, you know, this was a quick sale. You didn't have to wait on anything. You didn't have to, you know, I mean, there was a whole lot of reasons that I offered up that they should grant us the additional time. And of course, she came back with more bureaucratic reasons, I guess, as to why they couldn't do it because of their books and their accounting, and things had to be on this quarter and couldn't get over to the next quarter, yada, yada, yada. So anyway, we did make that request. We tried to avoid this scenario, but this is a good scenario anyway. It'll still ensure that the transfer is done on time.
Yep.
Without any additional payment.
So that we would need a motion to, we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Have any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, with no further.
Hold on, I'm thinking through here with this closing. I don't have, well, I think we've got the deed ready. But you'll have to sign that deed on behalf of the county as a grantee. So we probably need something in the record authorizing you to execute the deed and the loan
documents.
paperwork.
Yes.
Was it two separate motions? Or?
Yeah, let's do two separate.
Need a motion then to allow me to execute the deed for this BB&T property transfer.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And then we will need permission then for me to execute the loan document.
For the short-term loan.
Short-term loan. Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, with no further business. We'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Get up and leave.
Aye.
Go Big Blue.